Hello everybody, welcome and thank you for taking your time on this presentation. Today I will be talking about my first ever study case called HATI, on which I worked last month and a half. This study case is part of the UX Designer Bootcamp by Career Foundy. HATI is a language learning app that helps people to study languages more efficiently with a tool called Real-Time Conversations. Tools that I used on this study case are one and the only Figma, then prototyping in Marvel, a lot of paper sticky notes, some minor graphic changes in Photoshop, for conducting interviews and tests, Zoom, and the web app called diagram.net for information architecture. Now we will go step by step and I will try to provide you a very structured and analytical explanation of the entire design thinking process that I applied. First, the most important question and the problem to solve was, how might we design a mobile app that empowers people to learn a new vocabulary? I was one and the only UX designer in this case, and I accomplished to analyze the market, interview target group, create Proto-Persona. Based on my persona, I created 4 task flows and the information architecture. Then I designed low-fidelity wireframes and brought app to life by prototyping. Conduct a usability test, learn from my mistakes, fix them, and then design the mid-fidelity wireframes and prototype again. First step to find out what is the market like and what are the users like in my target group. I analyzed 3 from top 10 apps on App Store in education section, Duolingo, Lingo, and Eva. Based on my user experience and the comments from user on App Store, I came up with threads and nice to have in my future app. Threads are asking to subscribe or notify at all costs until it gets annoying. Features in an app should make sense, and if the text is too long, the users will lose their attention. On the other hand, nice to have would be first to show what HATI can do and then ask for users' money. Users should compete with each other and they should compare their score. During the studying process, they should be engaged and interact as much as possible. The interface of the app should be colorful, rounded, bright, and most importantly, app should have strong gamification, meaning achievements, streaks, lives, currency, etc. I conducted 5 user interviews with target group from 25 to 35 years old, 3 females and 2 males. Interview lasted 10 to 15 minutes and could be divided in 2 parts. How are they learning languages? And what is the experience with educational apps? The most important findings were that all users learn the most by being forced to talk and interact with each other, because they had no other choice. Secondly, if the app was asking for money or notified them too much, it didn't last long on their phones. Users also said that they downloaded the app because someone recommended it. And also, if the app was too difficult to navigate, they usually lost their attention. The second step was to conduct very specific survey to confirm my findings from user interviews. Survey had 5 questions, and as you can see, majority agreed to talk to strangers through an app in order to learn the language. They also are willing to pay money in order to have better experience. They also do not mind that app will notify them to encourage her learning. They are willing to spread the word about the app if they get something in return. And one very important finding was that the users are not willing to start to speak right away. They will need some kind of warm-up. There was one more question regarding the logo, and the answer was an elephant. So the Hati means elephant in Hindi. I would like you to meet Zan. She'll be representing my proto-persona for upcoming tasks. Zan is 25. She was born in China, but she moved to Berlin, Germany to study architecture there. And while studying, she also found a job as an architect as well. She is living a very busy life as a full-time student and as a trainee in design agency. She speaks fluent Chinese and she's advanced in English. Her dream is to spend summer holidays in South America, and she knows that it will be necessary to learn some basics of Spanish for her dream to come true. Then I created Zan's needs and goals in order to apply the problem statement to her. Zan wants to improve her English for her job. She wants to learn German because she lives there. She wants to learn the basics of Spanish so her summer holidays in South America will become easier. So her goals are that she needs specific vocabulary for each language. Zan also needs an app that will help her be more confident while talking to other people. And most importantly, Zan needs to learn the basics of Spanish because she will be forced to speak Spanish in South America. Now I apply the specific problem statement on my Proto-Persona. So Zan needs an easy-to-use, reliable app that allows her to study no matter where she is. She believes that it is necessary to have an app that connects visual learning and live conversation to have an educational process more efficient. We will know this to be true when Zan can reach her goals without sacrificing too much time and effort. Now we will try to solve Zan's problem. I created 4 user flows with an information architecture, but there you can see only one, and the most important one, which is the feature of live calls. We will get the other user flows later in sketching and prototyping. We start with opening the app, then we either sign in or sign up, and then we are landing on a page called Study, which is like a main page on the app. We are selecting the topic we want to learn today. If we successfully finish the topic, we get notified that the app is looking for a matching user. If Hati finds the user, then the actual conversation starts, where Hati is giving the hints on what to talk about. When the conversation is over, then a user will be redirected back to the main menu. Here you can see all 4 tasks that I sketched and prototype. These prototypes are already after usability testing, so you cannot see the mistakes, but I will get to it in the next slide. Task 1 is onboarding. It's pretty standard with splash screen, loading screen, gathering the information like your motivation to study in the app, how many minutes a day, and then gently asking for notifications, which is followed by gathering basic informations like mail, name, email, and password. Then you land on a main page called Study. From the page Study, you can select which topic to study today. We choose traveling, we went through it. Now we found gym. We're gonna talk to Jim with suggested topics to talk, and then we will rate the call. Task 3, it's purchasing a subscription, which can be done in just a few clicks. You select the product, you will select the payment method, then you click on buy, and that's it. Very simple. Then the 4th and the last task is adding new word, which was mandatory feature assigned by the client, in this case Career Foundy. On the tab called Stats, that's where we are starting, you can see the gamification and the users can check their weekly, daily stats. Then in tab Vocab, they can check already added words like user experience, and then they can also create new ones. In our case, a word called sketch. I conducted 5 usability tests where users were asked to complete 5 unrelated tasks, and the task was introduced via scenarios. I applied my findings from usability testing, Jacob Nielsen's error scale, and here you can see 4 out of 8 most important usability problems that I tried to solve. The first problem was to fix and add an entirely new screen in the second task, so the user will get more aware that he will be connected with another user, and they would have to have a live conversation together. The second problem fix was adding an X button, so users could leave live conversation anytime they like. The third problem fix was to highlight who is the user in statistics to ease their navigation. The last problem that you can see is to highlight a recently added word sketch accompanied by the word new when users finish adding new words in their vocabulary. Some mistakes were really silly, but at least I was convinced that testing is the necessary part of every UX design process. After fixing problems I discovered in usability testing, I created mid-fidelity designs and brought my app to life. As you can see here, there are again 4 major tasks. As we go through Swift onboarding, which is asking again for motivation, how many minutes a day, notifications, and then asking the users for their name, email, and creating the account. We're gonna land on a study page. When we choose topic travel, which we will go through very swiftly and successfully, then there is a new screen notifying user that there is a search of a person. The Hati found Jim, and they will connect with each other, and they have topics that they can talk about. After that, we can rate a call and go back to the main menu. Third task is the buying a subscription, which didn't change. It's again very swift and can be done in just a few taps on screen. And last but not at least, we implemented changes, which you will see very soon. Right now, we can see the name highlighted to ease the navigation, and then we can check the user experience word, go back, and then adding a word. In our case, word sketch. We will go next, finish adding word, and then we can see that there is a new word. We are closely coming to the end of my Hati case study. I would like to provide some self-reflection and summarize this case study. Since this was my first ever UX design task, I have learned quite a lot, but I would like to highlight some things. It is important to see what is the competition out there, and just talking to the users can reveal very interesting findings. While I was creating wireframes, even in hand, I tried to have them super neat, and it took me way longer than it actually should. Lastly, everything we are creating and implementing has to be tested and see how their users react to implemented changes. In upcoming months, I would like to create a sitemap to get an overview of an app and start with creating style guide to be consistent. After the second round of usability testing, I will design high-fidelity wireframes and implement the feature of recommendation. But I think the biggest challenge is to keep the app and its navigation simple, because it is connecting 3 very different features such as language learning, live calls, and adding vocabulary. So, this was my first month as a UX design student. If you got all the way here, I would like to take a note that this was just a brief summary of my monthly work, and if you are interested, I can provide you with detailed explanations of my decision I did just message me. Thank you for attention, and I hope you liked it.